every day I get up, I have a picture of what my day is going to be like. And that's a peaceful thing for me. So there's no uncertainty within that. The only uncertainty is I don't know when we'll be able to go out normally again, but for me, that's okay.
I'm not running somewhere every night. I go home, I sit on the porch, you can kind of wave. I still stay in a pretty close-knit community, even though development is all around us. We have the original homes, and we can wave at each other. You can beep at the horn or, kind of speak out. So the silver line has been able to slow things down. This pandemic has slowed me down. It has slowed my surroundings down.
The fact that the canals of Venice are clear, the scope of pollution on this planet has changed drastically within these couple months, these couple weeks. To me, that's a huge global line. That's a huge global silver lining.
If there's anything to learn out of this, is how to be able to weather change.
I have learned that when I get into lockdown, my art gets better. So, because I have really nothing else to work on.
But with all the times and all the concessions that I've had to make and all of the coping skills that I've developed throughout the abuse and everything else that I went through, this for me is almost like a day at the park, because comparatively speaking, this does not compare to what life was like growing up.
I try to keep things in perspective with stuff like that by saying like it's only 3 months, it's only 2 months. It's I've been through worse and survived for much longer periods of time.
Reminding myself that my brain has a negative bent, that's part of the illness I live with. That is part of depression, and I have to offset that. I have to push back and be very conscious of the self-talk. So for me, meditation is helpful with that, and just taking a deep breath in the middle of the day, trying to be aware of what that inner critic is saying and realizing that's just part of me that's unhappy, that that's not a defining moment. That's just a thought that I'm going to let pass.
So a couple different things. One of the things when I hear addictive behaviors, I hear the addiction, the addiction. And first thing I come to these facilitations, we have to recognize addiction in itself is a disease. So with her addictive behavior, whatever that may be, it doesn't have to necessarily be a substance or alcohol, or it could be a relationship or that behavior that's unhealthy. So for myself, when I find addictive behaviors or addiction in general, I stop saying to myself what's good or what's bad, what's right or what's wrong. I say what's healthy and unhealthy. And if I plug healthy in, I can say, well, I can go over to Peg's house. And I used to think Peg was a bad person. I just say, is Peg really healthy for me? Is this food healthy for me?
When I'm starting to feel a relapse coming on, or if I'm starting to feel like I want to use again, I have to sit down and really be like, okay, Brian, what in the hell are you trying to run from now? And let's try to actually focus in on what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, and what we can do to come out the other side.
For me, my addiction was to food. Binging and starving is actually what I did. I starved during the day and I binged at night. And I didn't realize it for many years. And when I did realize it, I was very sick and wanted to do something about it, but it was extremely difficult to stop the behavior. It was extremely difficult to see myself as worthy of doing anything good for myself. So I kind of systematically broke it down into steps that were doable for me. And then step number one was figure out that I've got to figure out a way how to love myself. Because once I love myself, then I'm going to want to do better by myself. So one of my other mantras, and I don't remember it word for word, but I put it on a bathroom mirror and I would tell myself every day, I'm working to love you, even though it's difficult, or I'm committed to loving you more and working on it, even though it's difficult.